When Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi was released in cinemas, it's fair to say that the reviews it received were a mixed bag. Lots of fans absolutely loved it, whilst the vast majority of hardcore Star Wars fans despised it to its very, very core. With the film's recent release on Blu-ray and DVD, it's still fair to say that it's one of the most hotly debated films of all time. I decided that I will sit down and watch through it again in the hope that it will finally put my mind to rest as to whether I like the film or dislike the film. And the answer? I still don't have a clue. I still really don't know at all. It's infuriating. So as the intense battle still rages on in my head, I decided it would actually be a good idea to list some of the things I really, really enjoyed about the film and some of the absolutely dreadful bits that somehow managed to make it onto the screen and ruin what I loved from a child until the grown man baby that I am today. Now, for anyone who has been living under a rock since December, there will be mild spoilers ahead, so this is your warning. So here's the things! Lack of Snoke backstory. In the build-up to the cinematic release of The Last Jedi, the mystery and intrigue as to who Supreme Leader Snoke really is was on every single Star Wars fan's lips. Was he from the Old Republic? Is he secretly Darth Plagueis the Wise? Or was he secretly the all-time great and powerful Dark Lord, Jar Jar Binks? Or was he no one? Apparently, that's what Rian Johnson decided. All of these were questions that we were dying to have answers to, and we didn't get any. Literally, not one. It was 2 years of speculation and theorising that was just thrown completely down the drain, which felt like a massive slap in the fans' face. Now, the character was a creation of J.J. Abrams, who did The Force Awakens, and is returning for Episode 9, so there is that little bit of hope that Snoke may return in some way, or we might at least get some explanation as to who the hell he is. Lack of plot. Whilst the film does actually run on for about 2.5 hours, there's very little in the way of actual plot. The Last Jedi is essentially just the longest chase scene ever put in a film. The film compromises of the First Order slowly chasing the Resistance through space, and not much else, really. Elsewhere, we do have Kylo and Rey being connected by the Force, which is actually very intriguing. We do see Rey getting a little bit of training from Luke on Act 2, or reluctant training anyway. And we see a couple of past events being explained, but again, nothing really solid and concrete. I think the reason for this is something that we can actually put a lot of the negative points down to in The Last Jedi, and that is just straight up bad storytelling. And you know what bad storytelling gets you today, kids? Your own trilogy! Vice Admiral Holdo! Why didn't you just tell Poe the damn plan? It would have saved a lot of hassle down the line. Next. If Holdo had actually just told Poe the plan from the beginning, then he wouldn't have wasted any time trying to conduct a mutiny on her. He would have just gone, oh, that's actually a good plan. You know, like he did when he eventually found out the plan. When Leia told him, later on in the film, after Holdo suicided herself. Which was actually visually stunning, so we'll give her that. We'll give her it, yeah. Luke trying to kill Ben. Now, I'm one of those people who actually did like a lot of the things that they did with Luke's characterization in The Last Jedi. However, this is the one thing that really, really, really got on my nerves. Luke attempting to kill a young Ben Solo. Now, Luke in the original trilogy was actually a character who always saw the good in people, especially a little-known character called Darth Vader. Despite the fact that Darth Vader is a character that has committed some of the worst atrocities ever seen in the galaxy, Luke always saw the good in him and eventually managed to get him to turn back to the light side, and eventually killing Emperor Palpatine on the second Death Star. That was what Luke's character was really all about. So it didn't make any sense whatsoever that he would see that Ben Solo, as young as he was, potentially, in the future, at some point, committing horrible acts and going, I'll just kill him. It doesn't make any sense. Tone. One of The Last Jedi's biggest shortcomings actually sits within the tone of the film. In the build-up to the release of the film, the trailer actually made us expect a dark story full of conflict and tension, and we did get that to a certain extent. However, upon actual release of the film, too much time was spent breaking away from the actual darker themes just to crack jokes that really didn't land. It felt like they were actually trying to turn the film into a Marvel Cinematic Universe film, which is kind of understandable because they are so successful nowadays. But Star Wars is Star Wars. Now, I'm not going to be one of those people that complains that Star Wars tries to make you laugh. The original trilogy did that. The prequels did that. There is absolutely no reason why the new films shouldn't do that. The Force Awakens actually nailed the humour spot on, I thought. The problem is with The Last Jedi, it's more about stopping making the jokes as opposed to the quips and interactions between the characters, which is what Star Wars humour has always been. Canto Bites. Sadly, with this, I'm not just talking about Planet Casino. I'm talking about the entire Finn and Rose side quest. If you take it out of the film, it literally makes no difference whatsoever. Basically, Finn tries to escape the Resistance ship, meets Rose, who tases him for no reason whatsoever. It's stupid. And then all of a sudden, they're best friends. And they decide, hey, let's go on an adventure! Basically, the First Order can now track ships through hyperspace, which hasn't been previously seen in the Star Wars films. It was only touched upon in Rogue One. So Poe, Finn, and Rose decide that they need to go and get a code breaker to break the code or something. I don't know. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but they ask Orange Yoda to help them out. Orange Yoda refuses, so they have to go off and do it themselves, and they go off to a casino planet because reasons. Whilst they're there, they get into a bit of trouble, and they end up getting thrown in a jail cell where they meet DJ. Benicio del Toro, who is a great actor, completely wasted in this film. I mean, they could have had him playing some sort of bounty hunter, a Force-sensitive character, a really, really cool villain, and they just completely wasted him because he had a stutter. They then meet some kids who live with horse creature things, and one of them's Force-sensitive. They decide to get back at the rich people. They'll set the horses free, but not the kids, because slavery's good for you. The whole part of this story arc feels like it was ripped straight out of a Harry Potter film, both in theme and visuals. And it's the first time that I personally have been watching a Star Wars film and going, this does not feel like a Star Wars film. And yes, I am including the prequels in that. The most intriguing part about this story arc is the hints about Finn needing to decide whether to stay and fight with the Resistance or just leave it all behind and go his own way, which is hinted at by DJ. This all accumulates later on in the film on the salt planet of Crate, where Finn is driving straight at the giant cannon. He's ready to go out in a blaze of glory to sacrifice himself for the Resistance, which would have been a great end to his story arc. Cue Rose. She just stops him from ramming into the cannon, saving a lot of lives in the process, and she spouts some crap about how you save the ones you love. I think without a doubt it is a thing that most of the Star Wars fans take the biggest issue with in the film. I don't actually know anyone who likes it. If you happen to like it, then comment below and I will ignore you because you are not a real fan of Star Wars because it was pointless and horrible and disgusting. Well, joking, love you. Please give us likes and subscribes.